from Guanajuato, we've made it to our next stop here in Mexico. Welcome to San Miguel de Allende. Good morning guys, and welcome back to another day here in Mexico. We are currently in the city of Guanajuato, but we're leaving. It's currently early in the morning. We're gonna try and get a bus out, and we're going to somewhere that's supposed to be just as beautiful as this place, so I can't wait to share it with you guys. But first, we need to get a bus to go to the bus station. Central de autobuses? Sí. Boleto para San Miguel de Allende. Well, we've just got our ticket. Price of the ticket from the bus station here in Guanajuato to San Miguel de Allende is 120 pesos, which is actually a little bit pricey compared to the other places we've been to. But we've got the ticket, and now we're gonna wait maybe about half an hour, and then we're gonna get on the bus. Well, we're on the bus. 1 hour and we should be there. Well, after about a little over an hour bus ride from Guanajuato, we've made it to our next stop here in Mexico. Welcome to San Miguel de Allende. The thing about the bus stop is that it's about maybe a 15-minute walk away from the city center. So we're walking into the city center right now. We're gonna find a hostel, drop off our stuff, and I can't wait to start exploring this city. It's not a very big city, it's actually pretty small. So we are only gonna spend one day here, and this is our only day in this beautiful city of San Miguel. Well, we've managed to just drop off our stuff and find a hostel, but now we are walking around the city of San Miguel. I have to say, it's a very beautiful city, but it's also super touristy. There are more tourists, more international people than local Mexicans here. It's like I'm hearing English, French, Italian. I'm not really hearing that much Spanish here. So it's a beautiful town, but I think it's a little bit too touristy now with all the tourists coming in, but hopefully we're gonna make the best of it. We are heading to a market now to go check out what there is to buy. I don't know, but we're gonna go check it out and see what there is. Well, we've officially made it to the first stop here. Welcome to the Artisans Market here in San Miguel. Well, before I even knew it, we've already made it to the next market, Market Ignacio. But the thing is, all these markets link up together. So the artisan markets link up to this market, the main Market Ignacio, and I have to say, it's really touristy. I mean, the things they sell there are just basically all souvenirs. Everybody in there is a tourist. There isn't even a single local in there. It really takes away from the feel, but it's a nice market. You've got a lot of locals like selling food, selling souvenirs mostly, but it is really, really touristy. But if you're looking for a good souvenir, that's the perfect spot to go. Well, to get a better idea of the history of this place, there's no better place to start by visiting a museum here in San Miguel. So we're going to visit the Museum of San Miguel de Allende. I think it's the House Museum of Allende. I would say that the House Museum of Allende is pretty interesting. So, turns out that San Miguel de Allende is named after a guy called Ignacio Allende. Now, who is Ignacio Allende? Turns out he is one of the most important Mexican revolutionary figures. In fact, he was very close with Hidalgo. Although he had some arguments, some differences with Hidalgo on the way the revolution should run, he was one of the main guys who actually pushed for the independence movement. This right here is his house museum. So they have the kitchen, they have, you know, all the bedrooms and everything, and they also have a sort of exhibition on his death and how he was killed in Chihuahua, along with other revolutionary leaders of the time. But it's just impressive that they've managed to preserve this house so well, that they have all this information, and they start all the way from like the 15th century and the silver mining and all that until the present day here in San Miguel de Allende. Really, really interesting and informative museum. It is a little bit pricey, but absolutely worth it to just get an understanding of what this town is, and of course, to learn about Ignacio de Allende, who is really, really important in Mexican history. Right across from the museum that we were at earlier is the principal plaza here in San Miguel de Allende. It's just a nice area with a lot of trees that are all trimmed. You've got a gazebo in the center, but as is a pretty consistent trend around here, just a bunch of tourists. There's literally a big crowd that I'm walking into. This town would be so beautiful if there just was less people here. But unfortunately, once the name gets out, it's hard to get it back in. It's just flocked with tourists here, but we're gonna head on to our next stop and hopefully get out of this area. We've made it to the next stop here in San Miguel. This is the Church of San Francisco. The church itself is pretty nice. They were having, I think, a wedding was going on in there, so I couldn't film too much inside, but it's another nice church. But honestly, after Guadalajara and Guanajuato, I'm kind of churched out, so I can't really appreciate a church as much anymore. But it's beautiful inside, it's nice. I wasn't able to stay in there too long because there's a wedding in there. But it's just a cool place to check out here in the center. And there's a pretty cool park right behind me that's right outside of the church that people usually come to. But yeah, there's nothing spectacularly special about the church. We've arrived at our next stop, which is literally just right behind the church. This is another big plaza here. This is the Plaza Cívica. The Plaza Cívica is actually pretty big. You have this area that is full of trees behind me that makes a sort of square shape. And you've got a big statue of a Mexican revolutionary leader, I'm assuming, but they don't have any name for it, so I'm not really sure who this guy is supposed to be. But it's a pretty central area of the entire city. You've got a lot of like shops and stuff. This was a really important part of the history of San Miguel. I mean, it used to be an area where a lot of the major judicial decisions were being made here. Obviously there's still a statue, but I've literally walked around it 2 times and I still have no clue who that is. But who knows. But it's a pretty nice day here. Hopefully it doesn't rain on us, and we're gonna continue walking through the city. Right behind me is our next stop. This is the Temple of the Oratory. Now the Temple of the Oratory was built a long time ago. It was built almost in the 1700s, so it has a lot of history. And even when you go inside, you can tell a lot of the walls, a lot of the pillars, it's really, really old. It's also one of the nicer churches, I think, around here in San Miguel de Allende. I love the chandeliers on the inside, and they don't have anything going on, so I can just go in and freely film. It's not really a very big church. Especially compared to, I think later we're going to see the biggest church here in San Miguel de Allende, which is the main cathedral. But it is a really nice church to go in and check out. The decorations are really, really nice, and it has a lot of history, and is one of the most important religious sites historically here in San Miguel. This next church right here is the Temple de Nuestra Concepción. This church is actually a little bit nicer. I do like it. But it's pretty small still, even compared to all the other churches we've seen in Mexico. It's a nice church. The outside is really cool. It's all yellow in color, which adds to that sort of colorful vibe here in San Miguel. But the inside is pretty plain. I mean, it's also another very historical church. Most of the churches here are pretty historical, but nothing spectacular. I would say the churches in Guadalajara are definitely way better on the inside. All right, let's head to our final stop, which is going to be the main event here in San Miguel, a church that basically symbolizes the city that we know it today. Well, we've made it to the last stop for the day, last church, last site here in San Miguel. This is without a doubt the most famous church in all of San Miguel. When you think of photos and everything, this is the church you think of. This is the Parroquia San Miguel de Arcángel. Well, and just like that, the sun has set here in San Miguel. I wouldn't say that San Miguel is like the best city I've been to here in Mexico. It's pretty touristy. There's a lot of people here, a lot of international people. It really kind of loses its charm. It's still a beautiful city, but I just didn't realize it was so touristy. I mean, they've got like 5-star steakhouses and hotels here. this is not Mexico. This is not the real Mexico. But still, nonetheless, it's a stop that you should make just to see it. The church is nice, but honestly, a day is more than enough to visit San Miguel. We did a lot of it, we saw a lot of it, and I think we're ready to go tomorrow. But anyways, that's all I have for you guys today. If you enjoyed the video, definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more food and travel videos. Alright, see you guys on the next one. Bye guys.